Hi, it's David Harris. I want to talk to you a bit about a question in Baclofen treatment for alcoholism, which often arises, um, and that is whether Baclofen works for everyone. Now, like and subscribe if you can, um, and leave a comment, preferably a good one. Um, but this is a point which arises on forums and in discussions um, with people who've taken baclofen and with people who aren't taking it. And the argument is that not everybody is suitable for treatment with it, and it doesn't work for for a lot of people, most people, some people. Um, and you get people who are on forums who are saying, I tried it, it didn't work for me. And you get people who haven't taken it who will say, well, it's just a medication, it's just another thing like a camprosate, and it doesn't necessarily work. It's just a tool. And then you get people, and I've been accused of falling into this camp, who are accused of taking the position that baclofen works for everybody, and that if it doesn't work for you, then it's just you that's failed and you haven't taken enough of it. Now, first of all, I want to say how baclofen is supposed to be taken. Now, baclofen is a drug which acts for 4 hours. It has a half-life of 4 hours. Its effects wear off after that time, and you've got to keep taking it. It's a drug which replaces a chemical in the brain, and that brain chemical needs to be kept at an even level. Otherwise, you're going to have a relapse if it drops too low, or you're going to have side effects kick in, such as somnolence and mental confusion. So you want to keep it at a level which is right for you and which keeps you from craving. And the problem with that is that when you're asleep at night, if you sleep for more than 4 hours, it's going to wear off. You're going to wake up with cravings, and it's going to take a while for you to get the drug back into your system. It's not addictive. It's not something that makes you want to crave it if you don't take it. So if you forget to take it, you can go for more than 4 hours and find yourself 6, 7, 8 hours or a day later not having taken it. So you can relapse very quickly with baclofen. And so you'll find a lot of people who are taking it are genuinely forgetting to take it through no particular fault of their own. It happens to everybody. And it's particularly difficult in the first stage of alcohol use, because a lot of alcohol treatment with baclofen, because people aren't used to taking it. It's a pain to have to keep supplies of the drug on you, and it's just a logistical problem. And a lot of people may feel that it's not working at the start, and they just relapse very quickly back into alcohol use. So yes, it's true. A lot of people just completely fail at it. But what a lot of people do is they will say yes, it has worked. They'll relapse, but they'll start taking it again, and they'll just say, well, I didn't relapse, because they don't want to be accused of failing. So there's a lot of untruth, if I can put it that way, about coming from people who actually do take it as well. So that's another problem. But there's an even bigger problem, and that is this: that the way in which alcoholism is diagnosed is by not as a physical manifestation of some problem in the body, such as cancer or an infectious disease. Alcoholism is defined by self-diagnosis, so that what you do is you look at a set of criteria under what are called DSM-5, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual criteria for alcoholism, and they are things which are indicate types of behavior that one has to take more of the drug to get the same effect, etc., etc. So there's no test, there's no physical test given to say, yes, this person is an alcoholic and that person isn't an alcoholic. So what you find is that you will find someone who looks at the criteria for diagnosis of alcoholism and says, well, that fits me. I'm an alcoholic. I have this problem. So they start taking it, and they find that when they're taking it, they have side effects. They don't like the side effects. They don't find that anything's happening, and they're not improving. So after a while, they say, "Give up. It's not for me, and it's not for it's essentially it's not for anybody." Some of them will say it's just it just doesn't work. So you have this phenomenon in alcoholism, which you don't see in any other drugs, that it's an illness which is defined by the consequences of use of alcohol rather than some physical ailment. Now, what's different about Baclofen theory is that what Amyson says is that alcoholism is actually a reflection of an underlying anxiety disorder, which is centered in the part of the brain which also governs motor transmission. So if you have a problem in this area, you'll suffer from an anxiety. The Baclofen is taken to calm down that anxiety. Well, very few people will be given a brain scan or any other physical test to determine whether they have this sort of physical ailment, a neurological impairment. So essentially, you may find that someone drinks a lot, but if they don't have that impairment, then what is Baclofen actually treating? In fact, it's not something that you should take unless you have that physical impairment. But there simply aren't any tests being given to find out if someone is suffering from that neurological illness. It's still a question of taking a variety of different indicators and saying, well, I think I'm an alcoholic, I'll try this drug. And it's not necessarily the case that someone who drinks heavily is actually suffering from this illness. Now, there may be other reasons you drink. You may be drinking because you're used to drinking, because you drink socially, because you just enjoy the taste of it. It may be part of your culture. I mean, I know people who will say that they don't go out drinking unless they drink 10 or 15 drinks. I can't hold more than 3. But some people can hold their alcohol and they just enjoy drinking, but they get to a point where they say, my goodness, I'm hooked on this stuff. And there may be other reasons, other neurological reasons why they find it difficult to stop. But that doesn't necessarily mean they are candidates for the treatment with this particular drug. So that's my view of it. Now, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but my experience with it is with someone who took it because they had a stroke which damaged the hippocampus in their brain, and for them it worked extremely well. And my view is that what needs to be done is that we need to stop looking at the DSM-5 as an indicator that of an illness, a physical illness. It's an indicator that there's an illness, but it doesn't necessarily tie in with the type of alcoholism caused by the neurological disorder which Amyson speaks about. So, in my view, the next step in Baclofen treatment is to actually get to grips with who this drug is useful for and who it isn't useful for. And until we do that, we're still going to have this argument circulating around in the ether that well, hey, Baclofen, those who support Baclofen use and are very enthusiastic about it, saying it works for everybody. It worked for me, it worked for my friend, it worked for my spouse, and it should work for you. So take as much as you need to beat it. And then you'll find other people coming back saying, well, I took up to 250 milligrams a day and it didn't touch my alcoholism. And what I find peculiar about this situation is that I actually have dealt with people and had over internet forums and in person who have had this view about it. And I've looked at them and said, well, it's all very well for you to say it doesn't work and you're taking 250 milligrams, but you're actually sitting there talking to me. You're on a computer. You're dealing with your life. You're going to work. How on earth are you an alcoholic of the sort we're talking about? Because certainly the person I knew who suffered from alcoholism wasn't able to get out of bed for 2 weeks in a row. So, I mean, that's my view of it, that it's for some people, it's for other people. I don't know the answer. I think we're still at the very beginning of even coming to an understanding of why it works for some people and how it works. And what we need to focus on is how do we diagnose the sort of alcohol problem that Baclofen responds to, rather than having these sorts of arguments. So that's my view of it. As I say, like, subscribe. Don't like if you don't want to. Leave a comment, preferably a good one, and let me know what you think. Okay. Bye-bye for now.